Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Investigating national security leaks. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Coming out of all the chaos surrounding the Russian hacking and President Trump's allegation that President Obama somehow tapped the Trump Tower during the campaign should be indictments against those who leak national security information. So out of chaos may come justice. Let's hope so. As we reported last night, there are only two stone-cold facts that we can report in this entire debacle. First, that General Michael Flynn was captured on a wiretap talking to the Russian ambassador, perhaps from Flynn's office in the Trump Tower. That tap happened, but we don't know who ordered it or how it went down. Obviously, the American people are entitled to know. Second fact is twofold. Someone leaked the conversations between Flynn and the Russian ambassador to the press. That's a felony, so we need to know who the leaker is. Associated with that, then Attorney General Loretta Lynch, working for President Obama, ordered the rules about shared intelligence information changed just days before the president left office, just days before Mr. Obama walked out the door. So why did Ms. Lynch do that? Did Mr. Obama order the change? Again, we need to know. It's very important because by national security agency sharing raw information, okay, unvetted, with the FBI, CIA, and other intel agencies, you open up the potential for leaks, and that's exactly what happened. As soon as President Trump walked into the Oval Office, his phone calls to the Mexican president, to the Australian Prime Minister, and to other high-level officials were leaked to the press. So in effect, the Obama administration may have, I emphasize may, created chaos for the Trump administration by allowing unsubstantiated intelligence information to be spread across a number of agencies. This is big. If that were done intentionally to harm the incoming president, Mr. Trump, that's subversion. So you can see that Congress must get to the bottom of the situation. Right now, there are investigations in the House and in the Senate to find out if Russian officials colluded with the Trump campaign. As we reported last night, so far there's no evidence of that. We also don't know anything solid about the wiretaps and leaks concerning Donald Trump. And we need to know. And that's a memo. Now for the top story. Joining us from Washington, Senator Tom Cotton, who is a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is investigating what we laid out in the memo. Senator Cotton also met with President Trump earlier today. So, Senator, tell me about that meeting. What happened?
Hey, Bill, it's great to be on with you. So, Senator David Perdue of Georgia and I went to the White House to meet with President Trump. We had a very good, productive meeting. We talked about steps he's already taken to get the economy moving, what we're going to have to do in tandem as a Congress with the president, especially on Obamacare and tax cuts, to get the economy growing even faster, to create more jobs, and then in particular, legislation that David Perdue and I have that would try to reorient our legal immigration system away from mass unskilled immigration, which has had such a negative effect on working class wages in America, and moving it towards high-skilled and ultra-high-skilled immigration, as President Trump has said he wants to do. Okay,
all right, and we'll get to that in a little while. Did you ask President Trump if he had any information he'd like to give you as a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, backing up the assertion that President Obama tapped the Trump Tower? Did you ask him about that?
No, Bill. We talked about the economy, Obamacare, taxes, and immigration.
Were you curious about that? Or I mean, if you know.
So our inquiry and our review on the Intelligence Committee is moving forward at a good pace. We just got access to a lot of very important documents that otherwise would be very closely restricted. I would point out that it was the Trump administration that gave us that access, not the Obama administration. So far, the level of cooperation we've received has been very thorough, and I look forward to moving as quickly as we can in the Intelligence Committee and making as much of our conclusions as public as we can.
I hope you do that. Now, it's a twofold investigation, though, right? Was there collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia? And then, who's leaking out all this stuff? Are you investigating that, the leaks?
Well, Bill, I'd actually step back from those two items to the previous matter. The way this all started was the conclusions of the intelligence community that it was Russian intelligence services behind the hacking and the disclosure of emails from the Democratic National Committee and from Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman. We're digging very deeply into that assessment to analyze the intelligence that supports those conclusions. In recent months, as you say, there have been numerous leaks that allege some very fantastical claims about relationships between Donald Trump associates and Russian intelligence officials. That is going to be part of our inquiry as well. But you're very right that these leaks, regardless the contents of them, are damaging to national security and raise the prospect of serious criminal behavior because they reveal potentially what the United States government knows, what it doesn't know, and therefore what it has the capability of knowing, which we do not want our adversaries like Russia or North Korea, Iran, China.
Sure. I mean, it opens up all kinds of things. But I'm a simple man. I don't know whether you know that. You're from Arkansas. But even down south, they know I'm simple. And I want to know who ordered the wiretap on the Russian ambassador, which picked up General Flynn at, we think, the Trump Tower, but we're not 100% sure. I want to know what agency authorized that. Do you know? Can you tell me tonight who authorized that tap on the Russian ambassador?
Bill, I'd prefer not to speak about what surveillance orders may or may not have been in place because it is a classified matter.
But let me, all right, do you know who ordered it?
Bill, as a member of the intelligence community, I'm aware of and I follow closely what our intelligence agencies do.
Now we're getting somewhere. You know who did it, okay. And I understand if it's classified, but President Trump could make it unclassified like that. Boom. Well, he could say it's not classified anymore, and then you could tell me who ordered it. But let's hope he does that.
So the president does have that kind of declassification authority. I have suggested that some leaders of the intelligence community might want to make some kind of public statement, but I understand the reluctance of them and potentially President Trump as well, because those kinds of statements, those kinds of disclosures do threaten the collection methods that we have all around the world.
It has to be done in an orderly way, but now let me take the next step. You know who did it, what agency did it. So you know who had the transcript made of it, because the agency who tapped had to make the transcript. Then the transcript is leaked, so that you know which agency has to be investigated to find the leaker, correct?
Well, yeah, and Bill, I'd make 2 points about that. First, we've seen media reports that suggested Obama administration officials intentionally spread intelligence information widely, to include just raising it in meetings when it might have been inappropriate to do so. They claimed it was to try to preserve the intelligence. I suspect it was much more likely that they were trying to get it to leak. And then second, something that many Americans don't realize, the FBI is not just a law enforcement service. It's also our main counterintelligence service. The FBI is part of the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice until January 20th was run by Obama political appointees. And the main consumer of intelligence from the intelligence services is the White House and specifically the National Security Council. So you have many partisan Democrats who are receiving this information, and I think there's a good chance that you might want to look to some of those partisan Democrats who left office on January 20th and are now being identified as former U.S. officials if you want to know where some of these leaks are coming from.
Well,
I suspect the FBI is doing just that.
You're pointing a finger at the FBI, that the leaks may have come from the FBI.
No, Bill. What I'm saying is that when the FBI is part of the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice until January 20th, which was a recipient and consumer of FBI intelligence materials, was run by partisan Obama Democrats.
No, all right, but we want to find out who tapped the Russian ambassador and General Flynn, where it happened, and then who transcribed the conversation and leaked it to the Washington Post. I mean, again, I'm a simple man. That's what we need to know. And then
the leaking is the most important material.
Right, because then you can
that kind of information
back,
should never be in public.
Absolutely, you can trace back whether that leak was ordered, or where it came from, or any of that. So it sounds like you're hot on the trail. Would you say that's accurate? That you're hot on the trail of this?
We're moving forward very quickly, and we're trying to examine all aspects of it, Bill. I'll say that.
All right. Now we only have a minute. your new immigration vision is to limit the number of legal migrants who come here for work. Is that correct?
That's right, Bill. We want to refocus legal immigration on high-skilled and ultra-high-skilled immigrants who can contribute to our economy. They won't need to use any kind of public welfare benefits, and that'll mean higher wages for working Americans.
Okay, but what about the agricultural industry and the service industries, construction industries, who need unskilled labor to fill those jobs, particularly in agriculture?
Well, Bill, I'm open to those kind of arguments. It's really an evidence-based question. I would note, though, that there is no job in the United States that is not filled by at least a majority, sometimes a large majority, of native-born Americans. There is no job in America that Americans will not do.
Well, I don't know about that.
Now,
they have a very hard time in the Central Valley of California recruiting in that hot sun, and down in Florida as well, people to pick the fruits and vegetables. That's not an easy thing.
But, Bill, what I would say to that is that the solution, rather than importing more unskilled and low-skilled workers, might be to raise wages for working Americans who haven't had a pay raise in decades. If you have a high school degree or less,
sure, but you
some
can't
people have seen their wages fall for 17. Well, if we don't have the large surge of mass low-skilled immigration every year that we've had for decades now, the market will work its magic.
Yeah, that's true. The raises would, if there's not the competing labor. Senator, we really appreciate you coming on. I hope you'll come back. We want to continue this conversation and keep us posted on the investigation. It's vital to the country. Thank you very much.